Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hey, Anurag.
Yes, Anurag, we can hear you.
Hello. Swapnali, you can get the presentation running, then I'll just welcome.
I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Okay. Perfect. Okay, as usual, we have a few people right now, but swells up with time. So we'll wait just one more minute and then we are going to get started.
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, you know what? We'll get started, and as people join in, it'll take a couple of minutes just to get the introductions going. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. All right, so hi everyone. This is Anurag again, and welcome to the third session in a virtual learning series. So we're doing this with EBI, and it's a big thanks to EBI. Also, a news for you that this one is actually going live on Facebook as well. So if you go to EBI's Facebook page, you can send that to others also, and they should be able to see it on Facebook. And like the last session, later on, we are also going to upload this session onto onto EBI's YouTube channel as well. So you can see the previous session as well as this session once it is done. So for those who have missed it or if you want to revisit it, it will be there on EBI's YouTube channel. So let me take this opportunity to welcome you all. It's always great to see your faces, even if it's virtual. And thanks a lot for being here. I know quality isn't the most exciting of subjects, but nobody can deny that quality is probably the most important of all our banking subjects. And to make things easier for you, to make you understand what quality is all about, we first talked about the whole idea of quality culture, which was in the previous sessions. And I understand a lot of you were there, some of you probably missed it. But of course, you can go back to the YouTube channel. So then, based upon that, from the learnings we had from that one, now we are going into this next topic, which you can see in your screen. And this is all about putting that culture into action. And this is going to be about internal audits and IBANs. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Swapnali. Anyone who's worked with Site Life knows who Swapnali is. She's been around for a long, long time, and she has been the cornerstone of our quality program. So Swapnali, it's all yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Anurag, and I hope you can hear me well. Yes?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So, so welcome once again to this third virtual session that we are having now for the last few months. And I would like to welcome you all to this session and thanking you for taking out the time today. And today the topic of discussion is internal audits in iBank. And as Anurag already mentioned, this is in continuation to the last session that we had on building a culture of quality in iBanks. So internal audit is another integral component of your iBank quality management system. And today we are going to take a deeper dive in internal audits and see how internal audits fit into the broader quality culture and how quality culture of your organization also in turn impacts the internal audits at your iBank. So with that, I would like to present today's session and also like to welcome our co-facilitators that we have today with us. Just give me a moment. Yes. So I hope you can see my screen. I have with me my IBANK's team, which is from Nepal IBANK Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology. We do have two co-facilitators with me today. We have Shankha Twaina, who is currently the IBANK manager at Nepal IBANK. And Shankha is a registered nurse with Master of Public Health and Master of Health Education. He's also a trained iBank manager, come iBank technician from International iBank of Prague. And he's also obtained advanced training in iBanking from Australia. Shankar has been working with the iBank since the inception of the iBank at Nepal, at Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology, and since 1994. So he has been there for a long time, long association with Nepal iBank. And he's also the first iBank manager come technician from his country. And he's working very closely on the recognition of his iBank in Greater Asia. So with that, I would like to welcome Shankha today in this session. Also, we have Mukunda Cholagen, who is the Quality Assurance Officer working at the Fred Hollows Intraocular Lens Laboratory at Nepal, at Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology. And he has a master's in environmental management and also master's in rural development. He's responsible for the quality department of intraocular lens laboratory, and he does all the regular quality control procedures and checks. Besides this, he also has additional responsibility of the internal auditor at Nepal iBank, which he has taken up since 2018. Mukunda also has his co-auditor with him, which is Astaram. Astaram is also is here with us today. And with that, I would like to welcome Mukunda and Shankha to this session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, Shankha, thank you for joining and taking out the time to share your experiences today. All right, so let's dig into the agenda. So in today's agenda, we'll be discussing about the objectives of internal audit, the principles of internal audit, the roles and attributes of an internal auditor, overview of the internal audit process, and learning from the iBank internal auditor team and the iBank team. So that's the broad agenda of today's discussion. Having said that, I think many of you are already aware of the concept of internal audit at your iBank and must be also facing internal audits at your iBank. If not internal audit, maybe some of you may be also facing external audit in the form of site life, quality certification audits, or any other accrediting and certifying audits which you face in your hospital to which you are associated with. So you may be aware of the internal audit process in general. And today we're going to take a deeper dive into the process. And the next session, in the next few slides, we'll be covering more on those aspects. So with that, we'll start with the definition of internal audit. So as you know that the very term internal is internal audit. So by audit, we mean that an activity which is independent, which is objective, and which is an assurance and consulting activity. Since it is internal, so it is something which is internal to your organization. Internal audit plays a very critical role in your quality management system, and it helps in improving the efficiency of your organization's operation. So that's the definition of internal audits broadly, and this is true to any organization, be it iBank, be it healthcare, be it other sectors. So this is something which is a universal term and which is true to all organizations. So let's look into the internal audit objective. Why do you have an internal audit in place, first of all? So I think you may be familiar that with audits, we associate the word checks, finding observations, gaps, etc. So that's the broad idea that we have with audits. And it is true that the audit serves the purpose of finding out any improvement areas and also identify risk. But the broad principles or the broad objectives that the internal audit aims to achieve is ensuring compliance to the requirements of your internal, international, and industry standards and regulations, and also your customer requirements. So how your organization or how your iBank complies to the regulations and standards, be it your internal standards, be it your country standards, or be it your customer standards. So the audit helps in ensuring compliance to those. And it also helps to determine the effectiveness of your implemented systems. So in terms of the iBank context, most of you are aware of your standard operating procedures which you have, and also the different checks and controls that you have at your iBank. So through the internal audit process, you're able to assess the effectiveness. How effective are your internal controls? So that is what you are going to achieve through internal audit process. Third is identifying the opportunities for improvement. So the idea of internal audit is to identify any opportunities for improvement. The other two objectives is to meet your statutory and regulatory requirements, which we already mentioned. How does your organization, your iBank, comply to the regulatory requirements in order to be functioning in your, in order to be delivering what is required? So that is being assessed by your internal audit. The last thing, which is the objective, is to provide feedback to the top management. So you must also understand that the end result of the audit is to identify any risks or any gaps and provide that feedback to the top management so that they are able to understand those much prior than any other third-party audits or any other inspections. So in short, audit is a line of defense for your organization, and it plays a very important role in ensuring the effectiveness of all your controls. With that, let's move to the principles of internal audit. So as I mentioned, this is like true for any organization. So not only iBank, but in general, true for any internal audit. There are 5 principles of internal audit. Number 1 is the ethical conduct. So audit has to be ethical. It has to be able to generate trust, both from the auditee point of view, should be able to gain the trust from your auditee team, also the top management. It should be conducted with integrity and confidentiality. So whatever the audit observations are, it has to be kept confidential and only relevant to your iBank or to the auditee team. Has to be done in a very ethical manner. The second principle is fair presentation. So again, another aspect is that all the audit observations and the process as well should be in a very fair manner. It should reflect only the truth, and it should be accurate and objective. Audit, as you know, is a very systematic approach. So all the observations has to be absolutely true and evidence-based, which you're going to cover in the next principles. The third principle is professional care. Auditors must exercise care in accordance with the task they perform. So the auditors have to be very professional. It cannot be a very ad hoc process. It has to be in a very planned manner. All the audit activities has to be done with due diligence in a very planned and systematic way. The fourth principle that the audit should be is independence. So this is a really important principle of internal audit, that the auditor has to be independent of the activity. So if you want to audit your IBank team cannot be the auditor, because in that case, they cannot be fair and unbiased. So independence is one of the core component which is required for any audit process. The last principle is evidence-based approach. So this is again related to the previous principles, that the approach that the auditor takes, and in assessing your systems, and also the observations that he comes up with, should be evidence-based. There has to be ample supporting evidence to support that these are the observations. So it cannot be something which is assumed. It has to be completely evidence-based, and only then an audit is considered to be successful, only when it has a strong evidence to support the observations. So with that, covering these principles of internal audit, let's move to the roles and attributes of the internal auditor. So we are going to cover some of the roles and attributes of an internal auditor. So who should be an internal auditor? So there's many soft skills and professional skills as well, which are required for an internal auditor. So let's start with number one, which is integrity. An auditor has to be honest, fair, and this is something which is obviously a soft skill and very difficult to assess. However, it is very important that when you choose an internal auditor, they should be able to present these attributes. They have to be analytical, they have to be independent, and they have to be very objective in terms of how they conduct themselves. So it is very important when you choose an internal auditor for this role. Number two is relationship building. So this is a very interesting attribute, relationship building. So when we talk about audit, it has to be a process which is very fair and transparent, and it should be able to also get the trust from your audited team. So that is why relationship building skill is a very important attribute that we want to have from an internal auditor. We want an auditor who is accessible, who is able to build the trust among the auditee, and to whom the auditee team is able to share their concerns or share their questions. So relationship building is one critical attribute. The third attribute is communication skills. So this is a very important another attribute that we look for in an internal auditor: good communication skills. And by good communication skill, it is both verbal and written. Verbal because the auditor should be able to communicate what he or she intends to, should be able to also, talk to the auditing team, interview them, so able to express his views. So verbal skills is really important, plus also written skills, because at the end of the audit, we're looking for an audit report from the auditor. So being able to communicate in a very crisp, concise manner is what we are looking for in an internal auditor. The fourth attribute that we want to talk about here is continuous learning. So this is another important attribute. When we choose an auditor, he or she has to be trained and skilled with these attributes. However, it doesn't stop there. We need to see that the auditor has a knack for continuous learning. He or she should be able to refine and update himself or herself with the knowledge and the skills. So it can be updating on the latest best practices, latest regulations and guidelines, and also honing their audit skills. So these are the attributes that we are looking in an auditor. And I know these are many things that we are looking for, but the success of an internal audit largely depends upon the skills of an internal auditor. And so it is really important for us to have these. The next slide is on the essential audit elements. So we are going to take a deeper dive into how the audit looks like. But what I want to emphasize here is, just like any other process at your iBank, the audit process also has to be clearly defined in your quality management system. As I mentioned, audit is a very systematic approach, and it has to be systematic and a documented process, where which also covers under the plan, do, and check and the act cycle. So I think you must be familiar with this cycle, which is plan, do, check, and act, which is for continuous improvement. And when we talk about an audit process, it has to also come under this in this cycle. In the planning cycle, in the planning part, what we mean is we should plan the audit in advance. So before planning takes place, of course, there has to be the authority to go ahead with the planning. So once you have the authority for the audit activity, you establish the audit program. So you have a plan in place. You have the objectives defined, what you are going to cover in your audit. What are the areas? Is it going to be your iBank's equipment areas? Is it going to be your iBank's technical aspects? Is it going to be your iBank's documents? Is it going to be mostly surgeon focused, that is on the tissue quality, or recipient focus on the patient safety? So those are the objectives that you want to define before you start an internal audit process. What is the extent to which you want to perform your audit to? Second important thing in the planning part is on the responsibilities. So who is going to do what? What are the responsibilities of your internal auditors? What are the responsibilities of your iBank? What will be the procedure? What will be the access of the internal audit team? So those should be covered in the plan part. Now, when you look into the do part, do is where we implement the audit process. So when you implement the audit process, the first thing that you start with is selecting the audit team. So you would select your audit team based upon the roles and the attributes. So once you select the audit team, you have looked into the competencies and you have evaluated the audit team. You implement the audit process, which is scheduling, selecting the audit team, and then directing the audit activities. So that comes under the do part or the implementing part. The third is the check part. So once you have the audit program in place, you need to also check whether your how efficient and how effective your audit process is. So once you have the audit process in place, you need to also continuously check and monitor and see how effective is your audit process, just like any other process. So what I mean to say is, even if you have an audit process in place, internal audit process in place, you should continuously monitor and evaluate the process to identify any improvements and gaps in the audit process and accordingly make those changes. So with that, I think I have almost come to the broad overview of the internal audit process. PDCA is important aspect, and if you at this stage have an internal audit already, you can evaluate to see if your internal audit does meet these requirements. And if not, if you're new to internal audit process, you can also develop one based on these principles today. So with that, I would like to go to the next part of this session, which is iBank partner sharing and learning. So I'm going to pass this on to Mukunda and Shankha eventually to share their audit journey, to share the internal audit process at the iBank, and also to share what are the lessons that they have learned. Before that, I would like to say that both Mukunda and Asta, who are the internal audit team at Nepal iBank, have been performing these audits since 2018 at their iBank, and they do have a lot of lessons learned in this process. And today we are going to take this opportunity to learn from them. So over to Mukunda and Shankha.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mukunda, sir.
So I think you already introduced Mukunda and Asta. So Asta is also one of the auditor at the iBank, and he is working as a microbiologist and also lab in charge, and he performs this additional task of also auditing the iBank at Pilganga Institute of Ophthalmology. And over to Mukunda now to share your journey.
Hello, good afternoon everybody. I am Mukunda Chaulagai, Nepal iBank internal auditor. I am thankful to SightLife India for giving me this chance to express my feelings about how we are conducting our internal audit in Nepal iBank and how we have started our journey in Nepal iBank, Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology. It was before before we were trained. Nepal iBank approached us and requested to be the part of internal audit team, and we three Dr. Rita Gurung, Astaram Bade and myself, we make a team, and we were requested to conduct internal audit in Nepal iBank. And before starting our journey in Nepal iBank, we were trained by SightLife India for 2 days program, and after completing our training, we returned back to Nepal iBank and started the first internal audit. And initially, we have started the auditing of section-wise audit. We have started to perform a section-wise audit, as it was first audit and there were so many records to check. So we have scheduled our audit plan monthly in section-wise basis, and we have finished our internal audit in that time. And after finishing our first internal audit, the external audit was conducted, and Nepal iBank was success in receiving quality certificate. And initially we were doing audit each month, but after receiving quality certificates from SightLife, it was okay for us to do our internal audit in Nepal iBank on a half-yearly basis. And after that, we are continuously doing our internal audit in Nepal iBank twice a year, and we are submitting the reports to SightLife Nepal iBank as well. And as we made a team, and for before starting our iBank audit, internal audit iBank in iBank, we have few steps that we used to follow, and the few steps that we were following.
Sorry to interrupt, Mukunda. Mukunda, can you be a little loud, because I think I'm not able to hear you very well.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
And for internal audit process in Nepal iBank, we are generally following some steps that is helpful for us to conduct our internal audit process. And before starting our internal audit, we generally our internal audit team, we will schedule audit date, then we will prepare with checklist, and we will inform Nepal Eye Bank that we will be conducting our internal audit in this date. We will ask them to be prepared for internal audit processes. Then after that we will conduct internal audit opening meeting with the management of Nepal Eye Bank, and after conducting our opening meeting, we will start our audit. And generally we do internal audit in three main steps, and the three main steps are, first one is walkthrough, and second one is record review, and third one is we use the checklist that we were provided from site life. And after that, after checking all that after checking all that records, after watching the condition of Nepal Eye Bank, and after preparing all the checklist, we will prepare a draft report, and we will show the report to Nepal Eye Bank, and we will request them to do kappa if necessary, and we will request them to perform the kappa if necessary. And then if there is nothing to have observations or any something that they need to um, uh, they need to be done, then we will ask the Nepal Eye Bank team, Nepal Eye Bank manager team to conduct a closing meeting and summarize the all the all the reports that we have find out, and we will also ask them to improve in some steps if necessary. Then we will finish this internal audit process in Nepal Eye Bank. Yeah, yeah. Excuse me, madam. Yes, this is that before now we are conducting our audit in 6 month basis, that is half yearly basis. But before doing 6 monthly, we have first done our audit in month wise basis, and in month wise basis also we have different sector were differentiated into seven different category, and the seven different categories were checked one by one. From in each month we have conducted our audit. This was the first internal audit that we have done in Nepal Eye Bank CIO, and this was done in for a long period of time, is because this was the first audit, and there were so many records that we need to check before moving forward. And the checklist that we are still using in internal audit process is like this. We go through the checklist of one by one point wise basis, and we also look for the reference shop numbers, and we tally with this checklist with the shop, and also we make we our audit team will work closely with the checkpoints, and we will make our reports. And the first one is for checkpoints that is necessary to check for about the refrigerator, while the second one is donor records. This is the records that should be in the donors record, that tissue records, all the things that should be in the tissue records are we will go through all the records that Nepal Eye Bank have maintained, and we will check for all the reports, and we will if we find out anything missing or any problem with the records, then we will sort it. We will ask them to sort it out if for the from the checklist, and we will give them the and this next one is mm, we were the first picture shows the in the we were doing our audit, and it was a walkthrough and interview with the iBank technician, while the second picture is about we were checking the records for tissue receiving, processing, quality check, dispatch of the tissue, and also the post-operative records that we receive from the doctors after completing the surgery of corneal surgery. And the below one is the internal audit report format. Uh, Nepal Eye Bank TIO feel the need of audit, and they feel the need of audit is because they want to improve the quality of their product. They want to be the uh, part of novel cause that prevention of blindness, corneal blindness, that could be prevented if done on time. And the main impact that that we have felt after conducting our internal audits in Nepal Eye Bank, uh, where some were like before audit, we only used to get 40% of the post-operative reports from doctors. It's only from the country alone, but now we are receiving the post-operative reports from surgeon from all around the globe. We are receiving 70% of the post-operative records are being received nowadays. And before this internal audit, there was multiple critical observations and some other minor observations, that is 2 critical and 13 others minor observations were observed during audit period. But after there is a provision of internal audit, there is zero critical observation, and only few observations were found during external audits, and only 6 observations were found, and no critical observations were found. And this data is one is before internal audits process started, and this after is of latest external audits reports. And another great achievements that we have received, that we have gained, is before we used to get quality certificates for just 1 year, and now we are getting the quality certificates for 2 years, and it is also our great achievement. And next one is found adverse reaction. And before this internal audit process, there was some adverse reaction also, and the tissue were not used to be exported out of the country, and the percent of utilization of tissue is also less, less. But now it is, there is no any adverse reactions, and the total tissues, now 33%, more than 33% of the tissues are being used out of the country as requested by the surgeon from all globes. And now we are using 97% of total tissues that we used to collect. And before our internal audit, we were dependent, we need some support from other organization or from our another departments, for we were dependent. But now we are sustainable, and we can perform our work by ourselves, and we are now independent. These are the impacts that we have achieved because of internal audits. And in during after the after our internal audit, there was external audit in 2018, and in that period there was 95% of critical items pass percent, and that pass percent is now increased to 100%. And our overall score was in that period, our overall score was 91.47%, and that is now increased to 94.31%. That shows the continuous improvement of our practices, and it also shows the continuous improvement of our iBank, and this is our great achievements. Uh, and being the part of Nepal iBank internal audit team, we after the internal audit in Nepal iBank, we find out that the iBank team is getting more efficient and more competent because of internal audit program, and the demand of the tissue is increasing, not only from our own organization, it is increasing from outside the country also. Now we have the record of your tissue utilization is 33% we are using in our own organization, whereas 33% of the tissues are being used in other hospital of our country, whereas 33% of the total tissue is being exported nowadays. And um, we are looking for the opportunity, we are looking for to be the part of greater Asia to eradicate the corneal blindness to the in the different countries from the Asia. We are looking for that. And another internal audit achievements is improvement in records and documentation practices. The all the documents, all the records that we could check daily records, daily records updated nowadays in Nepal iBank, and it is only possible because of internal audit and external audit, and also because of the efficient and competent iBank team. And also the iBank team is now increased with their confidence, and quality assurance is in high level. And organization, we are the only, this Nepal iBank is the only iBank in Nepal, and Nepal iBank is providing regular training for other hospitals, surgeons and other technicians. And uh, we are the training center. We are recognized as training center by Nepal Ophthalmic Society and Nepal Corneal Cataract and Refractive Surgeons. And being the part of WHO Collaborating Center for Ophthalmology, we are slowly being exposed to other world because of our novel work. And there is a continuous review and of the data and records. If there is a necessity of any uh, improvement in data and records, that is continuously being done in Nepal iBank. And we have a regular meeting for improvement if needed for different period of time. If needed, we are conducting monthly meetings, and also yearly annual competency is also being done to the Nepal iBank team. And Nepal iBank development is Nepal iBank development and audit skill is being improving, and we being increased our internal audit skill more, and we are practicing it nowadays, and we are very satisfied with our work.
Thank you, Mukunda, for sharing your experiences as an internal auditor. I would now like to pass this over to Shankha, who is going to share with us the perspective from the iBank team as an auditee. So, Shankha, over to you. And also, I would like to say that I think we are a little behind schedule, and let's try to see as much as we can meet the time frame that we have initially decided. So over to you, Shankha.
Thank you, Swapnali ma'am and Anurag sir at Site Life team for providing me an opportunity to see and express my experience to all respected iBankers as sirs and ma'ams, and also iBank Association of India, since we are also a member of iBank Association of India. So actually what Mr. Mukunda sir has expressed and presented about Nepal, I think, as uh, uh, as in prospective management perspective view, since I worked from 1994 till now, it's big change, it's quite change, and we are in a position because of site life and auditors. IBank Association of India and IBank Association of America and all IBank fraternity. That what I suppose we are lucky that we are having a good internal audit team. Dr. Rita, she is the CEO and head of Korea department. She is leading, and whereas Mr. Mukunda, he himself is a quality officer and also working in the Fred Hollows intraocular lens lab. And Mr. Asta, he himself is a microbiologist and in charge of pathology lab. And we do have a very specialized and potential, proactive and trained, efficient internal audit team. And they are following systematic we do internal first we do self-audit, then internal audit half yearly and external audit 2 yearly, and when they require this they do think so they are independent, and we suppose they are freelancer, so they are very biasless, and internal audit plays a key role in assessing the effectiveness of iBanks in internal controls, like they show in which track we are in the context of quality, whether we should correct or not, or what are the things to be corrected, and what are the things and where should we get down and where should we get off on a track in the context of quality. And they alarm us and they sensitize our staff on compliance issue, and they are also helping us to enhance accountability and transparency among iBank staffs, because we do have role and responsibility, and everyone is sincere to follow quality assurance protocols, and we are very sincere to follow sincere to do quality assurance and quality control process. And now you see, he has just shown we are minimizing number of non-compliance. As you know, we used to, we had zero critical observations, and is for building iBank's credibility across surgeon globally, that we being sustainable, since actually we are sharing tissue as a humanitarian support, but we do charge a processing fee, and we do charge $250 for optical when we share tissue within SAC, and we do charge processing fee not for tissue as $400 out of SAC. And if we share pre-cut tissue, we do charge $600. So it made iBank sustainable, is being sustainable because of maintaining quality and controlling quality and assuring quality. That's what I would say. Audit is for growth and development of iBank, not for auditors. So we should respect, we should follow them strictly. Yes, ma'am. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, ma'am. So opportunity, what we found from the internal audits, we are upskilling opportunity for internal audits or on iBank and development best practices and audit skills as we being formal, familiar, and friendly with audits. No matter self-audit, internal audit, or external audit, and being easy to face quality audits so far. And we do feel no pressure at all. And we do have standby and updated documents and records available anytime, and dependency on MD for technical assessment and expertise. And also internal audits can take a focused risk-based approach, and you see quality assurance and quality control procedures know how we are being systematic in daily iBanking operations. Quality audit is only for growing and developing iBank teams, as is for iBanking development and growth in the context of in terms of quality and quantity also. And we do have been receiving minimal few suggestions. As I explained, increase means motivation for the internal audit team. Also, they are happy with us since they are able to make us, improving. Next slide, please. I think is all about strength and opportunity, what we feel and what we have been seeing, and we wanted to be, better Asia, and I mean we are studying for excellence in iBanking. So we are having help and support from SiteLife, EDI, EDA, and you all, sirs and ma'ams from iBank fraternity, and also our auditors too. If any,
Thank you, Shankar, for sharing your insights based on your experience as an iBank auditee team, so facing internal audits. So thank you for sharing those experiences and your insights in this. So I think in the interest of time, I would like to move into the question and answers. So if any of the participant has any questions related to these to this presentation and the topics, please feel free to ask at the moment. You can also put in your questions in the chat option for us to get back to you.
I just wanted to check one thing. So Shankar, Mukunda, any one of you can answer. So for those of our participants who want to start the process of internal audits in their iBank, so what will your key advice be? How to get it started? Because a lot of times it never gets started. So how exactly do you get it started? What's your advice for that?
First of all, I think if we want to start internal audit process and internal audit so from time to time in our iBank, first of all, we will have to select the best auditors who are co-related, who are in a job which are correlated with the quality. Like we do have microbiologists and quality officer from such a renowned international organization, that is Fred Hallows Intraocular Lens Lab, and they do also supply lenses IOL in Europe and US too. So I think we will have to have good team, good audit team, auditor team. Then we should train them and we should facilitate them for training. Like SiteLife is there, and the SiteLife trained our auditors, by which they are very confident, they are very competent. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Shankar. This is really good advice for people who want to start. A lot of times people just don't know what to do to begin, but that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add here, Anurag, to what Shankar said is also that the culture of the organization of your iBank plays a very critical role in actually having an internal audit process in place and how effective it is. So I think one of the starting point is to also look into the culture of your organization, is into the interest of your leadership at the iBank, how keen and how they are, and how much they put the trust on the internal audit team. So having a strong leadership and having a strong culture to strengthen and build internal audit plays a key role in the implementation and the success.
Yes, of course, organizational culture is very important to operate whatever department under organizations. We do have specifically surgery center, that is patients care. There's eye care service delivery centers. Next is intraocular laboratory, and we ourselves are from iBank. So we do have organizational culture. I mean, there should be organizational culture that interdepartment and coordinations is very important. And also from top level, like CEO, Dr. Rita is she herself is leading internal auditors. I think there should be a member from top level management of our organization, because they can initiate and they can instruct people very nicely, and they can guide, they can support, and they can direct directly to the people for completing things in our organizations. That's what interdepartmental coordinations and also top level management initiations to be there in the organization's culture. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Shankar. I think those are great insights that you have shared, and really appreciate the time that you took out today. And I know that we are on time now. And if there are any questions from the team, from the participants, please feel free to reach out to us, to SiteLife team. That is me, Anurag, and also to the iBank team directly. You can reach out to us for any questions and any kind of queries on how you can build your internal audit or how you can strengthen your internal audit system currently. And we'll be happy to support you. So I think with that, we can wrap up today's session. And before doing that, I would like to once again thank the organizers, thank you EBAI for giving this platform, also all the participants and the co-facilitators. And I would also like to welcome Patrick to say a few words on this session.
Yes, I first want to thank EBAI for making this platform available, and just so grateful for the expertise shared. The expertise shared on this call is a result of careers and decades of experience. And it's this type of expertise and this type of sharing and this type of community that's really going to allow all of us to develop together. So thank you for taking the time to share what you have learned. And just a huge thank you to all the participants for joining. This will be available on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. So if you didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, you can watch it online. You can also share the link on Facebook Live or YouTube to your colleagues so they can watch it as well. Hope everyone has a nice weekend, and thanks to everyone.
Also, Anurag, would you like to tell the team about the next upcoming session?
Yeah, very quickly, the next session will be in early June. I will be sharing the link pretty soon with some details. We are taking a different route now. So the next session is not quality or iBank management directly, but it's getting more technical, and we'll be talking about tissue evaluation. And we'll be sharing the details as we get closer to it. So please feel free to let your tissue evaluators or technicians know, and it will be a very good session for them as well as the medical directors.
Excellent. All right, then. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone. Once again, have a great weekend. And we hope to see you in the next session.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Thanks, everyone.
thank you,
Thank you.
for providing us an opportunity to express our journey. We request you all, if you are in Nepal and if you do have plan to come and visit Nepal, please visit our Nepal event too, and we will be welcoming, and we will be looking forward to see you at Nepal event, and you may see how we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Shank. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
Mukunda.
Thank you, Mukunda.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Mukunda.
Mukunda.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Shank. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.